Good evening and welcome to The Business Coach, a show in which you how to help entrepreneurs better their businesses. Tonight on the show, we're exploring a very interesting episode. You're going to be having conversations with Africans from other African cities who've come to Kenya and done businesses and thrived. On the first half of the show, I'm going to be having a conversation with Sulu of Terra Cold Pressed Juice, who's from South Africa, who's going to be sharing with me her story and how she came to Kenya and how her business went about. And also, after the break, I'm going to be having a conversation with Samantha and Natalie of Mama Rocks. I believe you've seen them all over, just to find out how exactly their journey in this particular business has been. So ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show. So nice seeing you, Sulu. So tonight on the show, I'm just having a conversation with Africans who've actually come to Kenya and explored different kinds of businesses. Just getting to understand how experience has been.
Yeah.
And I know for you, you've been in business for quite a while here in Kenya, 3 years now.
Yes.
What brought you to Kenya, first of all, and what opportunity did you see in business here in Kenya?
Well, I think, let's be honest, marriage brought me to Kenya. So my husband is Kenyan, and we met in South Africa, and I suppose, time brought us here. He wanted to come back home, and I decided to seek opportunities here because I felt it's time for us to kind of settle and set some roots down and maybe create some sort of empire together. So a lot of the business ventures that I do start, it's with his support or with him as a co-partner in some way or another.
Yeah, you know you'd resigned from your workplace
Yes.
in South Africa,
Yes.
coming here, and you don't want to get employed again, so you decided you want to explore the world of business.
Correct.
So what was the first business that you explored here?
So Terra Cold Pressed Juice.
Yes.
So that was my first venture into entrepreneurship in Kenya. And due to COVID, we had to shut down. I guess our sort of business model didn't work.
How long did you run it for?
About 2 years, yeah. And so now we're kind of re-looking at reimagining what Terra should look like in the future. And that's where we are now.
The business grew astronomically so fast,
Yeah.
and it became a market force. What's it called, in the offerings that you're doing in the market.
Yeah.
What did you think you got right when you set up that particular business, and coming to a new environment, what opportunity did you see that probably we Kenyans don't see?
I think we saw a gap in the market. We discovered that cold pressed juicing was not mainstream in Kenya, but it was in other big cities across the world, in Johannesburg, Cape Town, Durban, and we lived in Lagos for some time, and Lagos had several cold pressed juicing companies, and we found that Kenya deserved a nice niche product that was well made, great quality, and it turned out to be exactly that. Kenyans loved it. There was disposable income for that kind of product, and I think that's why it did so well.
And in terms of just setting up the business and making it thrive, what exactly was it? Dealing, what's it called? You're coming to a new country, you're dealing with new persons you've not met in terms of growing your business because you're running the business by yourself. How exactly was it?
So I found Kenyans very receptive. I found them very warm, very welcoming, which unfortunately is not always the case back home. So there's a sense of xenophobia back home, which I didn't find coming to Kenya. Kenyans are graceful and they welcome you.
You're very warm.
Very warm. And if you have something amazing to offer, they're very receptive as well. So my sister-in-law, Nyokafi, was actually the one who helped me register the business, make sure we are registered with KRA, all those things. And then when I came across in 2018, a lot of that had already been set up for me thanks to our sister. And just the family support. It was easy to speak to family, to assist us, to get things started, because people had this amazing belief in what we could do.
Yeah. What are some of the decisions that made you go to that particular perspective whereby you have to close this particular big dream that you're already working on?
So our strategy going in was to service the corporate market. So we were servicing the cafeterias in Safaricom HQ, the UN campus, US Embassy, Stanbic, one of the Stanbic branches, etc., etc. And when COVID hit, everyone then left the office block and left the office park and went to work from home. And even now, a year or so later, the move back into sort of office parks, it's still a trickle. Not
Yeah.
everyone's working out of the office anymore. There are a lot of people who are still working from home. So we had to change our business strategy and decide, okay, we can't service that market. Where can we go? And I think supermarkets becomes sort of the next logical place to look at. But that has its own sort of capital requirements. So we need to reinvest so that the product itself is then geared towards supermarket, which is bulk, and it's hopefully fast moving. Our juice has a very short shelf life, so we need to look at that, because for supermarkets shelf life is a big factor, and that then affects our pricing.
And there's something quite interesting. We find that a lot of South African businesses usually come and set up in Kenya. But a very interesting analysis, just having this conversation the other day, was that most of the South African businesses and brands never really quite thrive here. I think the last one is this ShopRite who came here and they had to close down. What exactly do you think that is that? Having been in South Africa and understand the brand, and also having been in Kenya and understanding how exactly the Kenyan businesses are.
I think there's a certain level of arrogance when it comes to South African business. It's an arrogance, but also an ignorance. So we think we're Big Brother and we're going to come and we're going to save Africa. So we come with our sort of structured way in which we do business. We don't take the time to learn how business is done on the ground. And I think that's the main mistake so we come here with the products that thrive in South Africa, and that's why a lot of them tend to suffer when they get here.
And you're in a very interesting phase whereby most entrepreneurs are in this particular phase whereby COVID affects your business model and you have to transition. And you told me right now you're getting to other businesses. Interestingly, getting into farming.
So we've been given access to a piece of land, and we've been given the opportunity to try out farming, which I started during COVID. So COVID hit, we're sitting around trying to figure out what to do with our lives, etc. So then we decided to start farming. And we are in season 2 now, and we're doing really well. But it, funny enough, also kind of links very nicely with Terra and its philosophies. So it's not too far from what we started where we got here.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Maybe just finally to just come to a close. From your understanding, what's it called, being an African, having traveled to different African cities and finally settled here in Nairobi, set up business here in Nairobi, closed a business here in Nairobi, and setting up another one here. What exactly are some of the key lessons you've actually learned through your journey, more so, what's it called, coming from South Africa, whereby most of the brands from South Africa that come here fail, but you thrived for the period that you did? What exactly are some of the key lessons that you learned yourself in running a successful business here?
For me, number one is respect. So you need to respect the people that have been here for all these centuries. Kenyans know Kenya. And so you leverage off of that. You build great relationships, and with great humility and an open mind, you learn, you listen, and you find out what people need, how things are done, certain level of decorum that you need to present yourself with. You can't come in here like a bull in a china shop and demand things and tell people how it's going to happen. There's a certain level of humility that is required in business, and with that, Kenyans will help you out, and they will embrace you, and they will buy your products.
My goodness, I wish you can go on in this conversation. It's always very interesting having this particular African global conversation. But nice having you on the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
More interactions. Hope Terra comes back.
Oh, Terra will be back. Watch
Very
this space.
soon.
Yeah, it'll take a while, but we're working towards a comeback.
So we're going to take a short commercial break at this particular point. But after the break, I'm going to be having a conversation with the founders of Mama Rocks, who are literally Africans who have been around the world but have literally came here to set up their business that is now thriving and have different particular branches. So you don't want to touch that dial. I'll see you after the break.